All right, I know there's a few videos out there, but I figured I'd do one as well on what to do if your hatch will not open. A lot of the videos talk about getting the thing to open with the handle by pressing here and here, and to be honest, for the last 2 years, that's exactly how I open this thing. I would pull the handle, lean up against it or push up against it, and while doing that, pull back on the door and it would actually release. I never fixed the problem. And then I ended up banging the rear here with the tire carrier by backing into something, and it wouldn't work at all. So I did some research, read some comments, watched some videos, and there's a real easy fix to this if this happens to be your problem. And so I'm going to show you real quick. I've already started it, but I locked this. I have not, see, that's what was happening. It was getting stuck, and closed it all the way there. So now it doesn't do anything. It won't even grab like it was before so that I could put pressure on there and pull it. But I've tried pushing here, pushing in other areas. I was struggling with it all day yesterday. So I finally emptied out my Jeep because I'm out overlanding, and thought I would have to really tackle a lot more than I did. But all you need to do is in the back side of your vehicle, and down there is where your latch is grab on to this plastic and gently pull back. And you can see that it's pretty flexible. You don't want to pull back too much because you can crack this, and then you'll have to go get another one from the junkyard or pay a couple of $100 for a new one. There's Christmas tree fasteners through here, so what I did is I slowly pulled back all the way until I could get my arm down there. And then when I did, in the latch, there's a post that sticks straight up and down, and I just grabbed that with my fingers and pulled up. It does take a little bit of effort, and boom, the whole thing opened up. Hopefully I can get that to happen on video here and I don't make a fool of myself. I've already done it twice, so I'm reaching all the way down. I can feel that post, and I pull up, and I can feel it moving. Just heard it click again. And there it goes. So it just opened, and it does kind of hurt the arm a little bit. I have long sleeves on, which helps. I would definitely scrape my arms up doing that otherwise. So I am going to remove the rest of this, or the handle has to come off. All these I put in, these are just snaps. They're not attached to anything. But you need to remove these screws. You won't have, I don't think these, I think I installed these myself, so you won't have these little rings. I attached those to hold things down. But, so you just remove those screws, those come out. You've got another one here, another one up here, nothing down below, and then the same thing on the other side. And then you can see that actually that's already been cracked, that there, but and then there's Christmas tree fasteners in here, so you just want to gently pry those down until the whole thing falls off. So I'm gonna do that now because I need to fix this, because I do want to be able to open it from the outside. So to fix the back latch, all I used was a T30 Torx bit to get the handle off, a Phillips head screwdriver to get all the screws off the plastic, or out of the plastic to pull the panel off, zip ties to wrap around the stud inside. That's what you're going to be manipulating to get the latch to open. Just a pair of wire cutters just to cut off the zip ties. That's all that's for. And I only use needle nose pliers to help me get the stud loose from the latch so that I could manipulate it. So beyond that, you shouldn't really need anything else unless you have struggled with the latch a little bit, and then you might just want to use like a flathead screwdriver or something like that just to get that bolt away from the metal bracket. But that's all I use to do this job. All right, so to remove the handle, you just take a flathead screwdriver or something and pop these little rubber pieces out and drop them on the ground. Try not to anyway. And then I've got a T30 Torx bit set, or Torx bit driver, and that's what it should be. It's what it was on mine. I know it's on a lot of other vehicles. I would imagine all of them are this way. 2, so that's what's in there. And then I'm going to go all the way around and remove the Phillips. Alright, now that all of the screws are out all the way around, just gently start prying down on this until you pop all the Christmas tree fasteners out. Be gentle, don't break this trim piece towards the top, because that's the thinnest area. And there you go. That is the entire unit. So here's the trim piece, the back of it, and these are the Christmas tree fasteners I was pointing out. Actually, it looks like pretty much all of mine survived, but on the side they do have these metal tabs which often break off, and this one didn't break off, but the other side did. So that is the side that broke off. If I wanted to, I could probably just run a screw right through where that tab is and then into here, and it would grab. But if it doesn't, I don't know if that was broken before or if I did that, but if it doesn't flop around, I'm not going to bother with it. And then at the top, you have these crunched areas. I can tell this thing had been off before, but this and this, where these squished areas are, is where your screws actually go into. So as you're tightening down on the screw, it's actually pushing that plastic and flattening it out like I just showed you, and then going into these holes here. So I took this off with a handheld screwdriver. I highly recommend putting all your screws back in with a screwdriver, handheld, and not with a drill, because with a drill you can over tighten it. You can end up cracking the plastic, which mine is around the edges, and then you can also, because this is just thin metal, you can end up stripping that screw as well. So highly recommend just taking a screwdriver and tightening it. And the screws aren't that long, it won't take you that long, but you'll be happy you did it if you end up cracking the plastic, as mine is already around that. So, and then on mine, my foam was loose, so I'm going to just reattach that. That just stays in place as is, nothing screws through that or anything like that, so I'll just reattach that. Alright, I'm going to try to do this without the, I'm sitting inside with the hatch down, and try to do this from this weird angle, but this is what I was pulling up on. So you grab hold of that, you pull up, and that releases the latch. So that's how I got this thing to open. What happens is these threads, either they get stripped or somehow this metal piece becomes loose and it doesn't grab onto that tight enough to pull that up so that the whole assembly can work. So what we need to do is, I'm going to pop this out this way. I'm going to make it, I'm going to open this up a little bit so that it makes the pressure on the stud a little bit tighter. And then what people do is they'll take zip ties. Somebody even recommended putting nuts on this at the right height so that the nuts won't move if you put 2 of them. And then maybe even a zip tie on top. That'll definitely keep it in place. I'm going to mess around with it a little bit to figure out what works best for me, and then I'll show you what I ended up doing. It is a tight little spot to work in, but hey, the hatch is open. That's the main part of the battle, and now you know how to open it regardless if this thing gets fixed or not. So you don't want to replace this whole thing. From what I've read, it's a real pain, but fixing it should be an option, because more than likely that's all your problem is. So I'm going to mess around with this. Also, make sure that when you're working on this, that you have it unlocked and not locked. If it's locked, let me try to show this to you the best that I can. If it's locked, nothing happens there, but if you push this back into place, you'll see that the whole mechanism wants to move, but it's just not grabbing on this stud the way that it should to release the whole hatch. Alright, so while in here, I went ahead and sprayed everything down with WD-40. I did that yesterday. It's actually a day later since I first started working on this, but hopefully you can get a good view of the stud there that you pull up on to unlatch this. And you can see that it's got, you know, little grooves on it, or threads. But what you want to do, and I don't know if I'll be able to still get this out or not, but you just want to pull back on this. And mine's kind of jammed in there now because I opened up. So this whole thing, actually I needed a screwdriver too to pull this out. So you pull it away from the attachment piece here, and then it's just kind of sitting there on its own. And the problem that I had, and that causes this, is that these threads make their way further down. So this latch comes up here, and so then it doesn't have, sorry, it's just really awkward angle, the pulling power when it pulls up to unlatch this thing. It's pulling from up here, so it's not pulling it nearly as far. So that's the culprit right there. So what I did is then I just took a flathead screwdriver and a pliers, and I just pulled these tabs out a little bit more, so that they were at a more of a, I guess you'd call that an obtuse angle. And then I pressed the threaded stud here back in so that these tabs would put more pressure on the stud so that it wouldn't slip. But I know it's going to keep slipping because it's already started slipping before. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap 4 now, just because I'm kind of in a hurry, zip ties as close as I can down to this bracket or little metal piece here, and then that'll keep the stud from slipping down. If you put the zip ties on tight enough, it should grab into those threads, into the plastic, and keep it from slipping. But now I know if it stops working again, that's the issue. So let me close this and show you. I've already moved it down. I had to move mine down about, I'd say a good I'd say at least 1/4 of an inch. I moved mine down. So let me close it here for you. That's all the way closed, and boom. I have not been able to open that easy since I got this thing. So I'll do it again, and it pops right open. So that's definitely in a good position. I'm going to go ahead and get some zip ties. I won't film that just because you see nothing but my hands, but I'll wrap some zip ties around there and then show you the result, and that should be it. All right, so kind of went zip tie crazy. I only had the white ones easily available to me, so that's what I ended up doing. So after I put one around the stud, I just couldn't get it tight enough that it kept slipping, so it wasn't really doing any good. So what I ended up doing was taking 2 and crisscrossing in an X pattern, and you can see I did it around the little metal tabs. So what that'll do is that'll take that one that I wrapped around the stud and put pressure down onto the little metal bracket, if you will. That's what I think it's called, I don't know. But so I crisscrossed it down, so that one that is around the stud is being held into place by the crisscrossing ones that I put around the bracket, and that should definitely keep it in place until those zip ties dry up and pop off. I don't think it's going to move otherwise. If it does, it's an easy fix, which is why I'm not going to worry about it too much. More of a pain than anything, but let's just make sure it works, and it does. So now I'm going to put the panel back on and be done with this. All right, so on the trim panel, when you reinstall this, you've got these plastic knobs that are kind of like location holes or location studs for the holes. So that's your best bet in trying to line this thing up. So slide these plastic studs into the holes, and that should help you realign it so that you can start pressing all the Christmas tree fasteners in place to hold it up, and then you can start screwing the rest of it in. All right, I should have actually done that in real time, because by using those 2 stud locations, the Christmas tree fasteners popped right up. I mean, it took no time at all. Don't force anything, you'll end up smashing the Christmas tree fasteners. and then you'll end up having a hard time getting the whole thing to sit right. So just it allows a little movement back and forth on those studs, and so just once one Christmas tree fastener pops into place, the rest of it's pretty much going to be lined up, and everything just pushed right up. So I got really lucky there, and otherwise it would only take a few seconds to adjust back and forth. So now I'm just going to finish up the rest of these holes, putting all my screws back in, and then I will reattach the handle and the whole thing will be done. Alright, so there you have it. All the screws are back in place. Everything's sitting as it should. I said this earlier in my video, but I'll say it again. I highly recommend not using a power drill, cordless drill, to put these back in, because you can over tighten these, strip out the metal that this goes into, because it's just plastic or metal clips, and also you could crack the plastic on this pretty easy. And if you adjust the drill so that it doesn't over tighten, then that's an option, but I mean, it doesn't take much to hand tighten these, so that's all I did all the way around. So now that that's done, everything's installed and it all works. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe, leave your comments below, and talk to you soon.